Hey guys, want to talk to you about how to do the homework and what's expected of you, and also what we're going to be working on for the next few days. I know there's some people out there with a little bit of confusion about what it is we need to be doing. So let's take a look at what it is real quick and see what we need to do. Okay, so what we're going to look at here is the unit. Okay, this is our Unit 1, Early Texas. So if we scroll down here, and let's, hold on, got stuck in a draw tab. Yeah, there we go. Get out of that. Okay, so now if we are scrolling down here, there's the collaborate session, and over here is the eras and the pre-test we did today, or maybe yesterday if you were in what was it, A day, B day? I don't remember. Something to check every morning though, which is A day or B day, which is it? We have a calendar of it. All right, so here's your pre-test. We did that, or we will be finishing it up if you haven't finished it. What you're going to do is you're going to start here at Eras of Texas History. Now, when you come to this page, you can see you've got a table of contents over here where you can navigate all these pages and work on all this stuff. Remember, you're taking outline notes, okay? So I scroll down, I see this is a list of all the eras of Texas history. That list is then defined below. Okay, then as I scroll down, there's some quick, brief questions that are important questions that you would need to be able to answer. So there's the question presented for you. Here's the information below that's going to help you understand why we use eras, and then how do historians know what happened in the past, some important terms, primary sources, secondary sources. Those are terms you're going to need to know because we're going to use them to discuss in class, and they're going to be on the test. So you better get them. All right. Now, what is the difference between primary source? So these are all things that you should be able to answer. Then some vocabulary down here. Excellent way to deal with vocabulary is put a synonym next to the word. Okay. If you know the synonym, you know the word. It's that simple. All right. So that is the first page. Now, let me show you kind of what I had in mind for you to be doing. Real simple way to deal with this is, okay, I've got a list here. Now, I'm not going to say you are forced to retype this list because this is notes, okay? But if it's a list kind of thing, you could go in here, you could highlight that list, okay, and then you can copy that. This is notes, it's okay. So now when I go over and I open up my Google Doc that I'm going to use for my notes, and I paste that list in there. Now, what I do need to do from here, because this is like the end of my cutting and pasting, everything I do from here on out is where I create meaning. I go through this process of figuring out what it is I need to put in there and maybe questions that I have to ask in class, that sort of stuff. You shouldn't have to do any Googling. You don't need to look stuff up. You can just mark that you have a question about it and bring it to class later on. So let's look at how we would do that. So we go back to the page, and let's say natural Texas and its people. So nomadic or early permanent dwellers, social hierarchies, undisturbed land, trade networks, lots of interaction between man and the environment, constant need for survival skills led them to be highly adaptable people. All right, so that's kind of some of that stuff is like, I don't know what that means. Some of that stuff I'm like, yeah, right on, I know exactly that. So if I go back to my notes, open up my notes, here we go. Remember, this is an outline. Now, everything that I'm going to put in here is going to be a detail about number one, natural Texas and its people. So I can't have it be a number two. If it's a number two, it's just another era. But this is details about this era. So I need to indent. That's where I use these buttons right here, increase indent. I move it over. Now it's a detail about natural Texas and its people, little letter a, or lowercase a. So now I go in here and I put, let's see, nomadic. Okay, so if I don't remember what nomadic means, or even if I do, maybe I'm like, well, you know what, I want to give myself a clue. How about I do hunter-gatherers, because that's what nomadic is. You're moving around, hunting your food, or finding your food. Okay, so you might be like, oh, let's stay here tonight. There's all these berries we could eat. And then in the morning, you're like, ugh, I'm sick of berries. Ooh, buffalo. And you follow the buffalo and eat buffalo for a week. Okay, so that's kind of how hunter gatherers work. It's simplified, I get it, but yeah, that's how they work. Um, Now, what else do we need to put here? Because we need now B. Well, I've forgotten, so I need to go back over to the document and look again. Okay, so early permanent dwellings. So go back. Whoops, wrong one. There's my document. So if I write early permanent dwellings, does that mean anything? Well, it won't if I don't spell it right. Um, Early permanent dwellings. So if that doesn't mean anything to you, maybe you need to put something like, for me, I'd be like, well, what does that mean? Well, if they're early and they're dwelling, so that's a house, or, well, primitive huts. Okay, so the idea there is that these are, literally it's a homemade home. So they're primitive, they're not like we would see today. Our concept of what a home looks like is not what they would have looked like. So it's more primitive huts, maybe some stone buildings. Those would be like stacked stone or carved stone, maybe mud bricks. Okay, that's the kind of stuff you would see. It's not sophisticated. These things aren't made of sheet metal. That doesn't happen yet. Okay, so that's what we'd be talking about when we're talking about primitive huts. Then let's go back and see what else we've got. Okay, so we've got undisturbed land, trade networks, lots of interaction between man and environment. So we go back up here to our notes, and then we're like, okay, lots of interaction with the environment. If I don't know exactly what that means, maybe I'm like, you know what, I need more information there. I'm going to ask Mr. Gilbert tomorrow what that means. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to highlight that red. And that's a note for me to ask a question in class tomorrow on that. So now I'll be like, okay, next time in class, I'll be like, oh yeah, Mr. Gilbert, lots of interaction with environment. What does that mean? And then you ask that question and we talk about it. And then you get rid of what you don't understand and you put words that you do understand. Okay, that's the point of taking notes and preparing for class. So what I want you guys doing is going through this. You don't need to Google. You don't need to do that stuff. You need to use your brain and you need to come talk to me. Okay, you don't need to spend hours and hours and hours trying to research some term. Okay, if you Google lots of interaction with environment, you're going to get billions of results. Don't get billions of results. Get one from me. Capiche? All right. So, what I want you to do, guys, is keep taking notes. Yes, you do need to go through all of this stuff. You need to take notes on all of this stuff that is a reading assignment. You need to take all of this stuff that is a video to watch. Yeah, it's a lot of notes. But guess what? It's practice, so you get good at it and you learn it. And I'll give you plenty of time to get it done. Okay, so don't panic, just get to work. Come to class prepared with some notes. Have a good one.